The families of those killed in the 1994 Chinook helicopter crash have said they will press on with seeking judicial review after the Ministry of Defence dismissed their demands for a judge-led public inquiry. RAF Chinook ZD576 was carrying 25 British intelligence personnel from RAF Aldergrove in Northern Ireland to a conference at Fort George near Inverness, where it crashed in foggy weather on the 2nd of June 1994 on the Mull of Kintyre. Also on the programme, the Archbishop of Wales has announced he will retire with immediate effect. In a statement, Andrew John confirmed he would also step down from his role as Bishop of Bangor on the 31st of August. And Marcus Monzo has been jailed for life for the murder of 14-year-old Daniel Anjorin during an attack with a sword in Hansult near East London. He had gone into a cannabis-induced psychosis when he killed the teenager with a samurai sword in April last year, the Old Bailey heard.
This is STV News with Nina Hussain.
Good evening. The families of those killed in the 1994 Chinook helicopter crash have said they will press on with seeking a judicial review after the Ministry of Defence dismissed their demands for a judge-led public inquiry. RAF Chinook ZD576 was carrying 25 British intelligence personnel from RAF Aldergrove in Northern Ireland to a conference at Fort George near Inverness, where it crashed in foggy weather on the 2nd of June 1994 on the Mull of Kintyre. All 25 passengers made up of personnel from MI5, the Royal Ulster Constabulary and the British Army were killed, along with the helicopter's 4 cabin crews. The families launched legal action in a letter before action to the UK government sent earlier this month on the 31st anniversary of the crash. They said they will now pursue a judicial review after the MOD responded and rejected their demands for a public inquiry into the circumstances surrounding the crash and for access to files which have been sealed for 100 years. Nicola Rawcliffe, whose brother Major Christopher Doherty was killed in the crash aged 33, said, "I am furious and disgusted with the MOD's decision to summarily dismiss our claim. The MOD is continuing to receive our families and disrespect of our loved ones' memories by claiming that the many previous inquiries investigated all the facts, but we now know the aircraft was not airworthy. They didn't know half of what we know now. The government may have sealed the files for 100 years, but we, the families, those who died, are firmly united, strong and defiant, and we will get to the truth no matter what it takes." Following the crash, the Chinook's pilots, Flight Lieutenants Richard Cook and Jonathan Taper, were accused of gross negligence, but this verdict was overturned by the UK government 17 years later, following a campaign by the families. A subsequent review by Lord Philip set out the numerous concerns raised by those who worked on the Chinooks, with the MOD's testing centre and Boscombe Down in Wiltshire declaring the Chinook Mark II helicopters unairworthy prior to the crash. The MOD said the crash was a tragic accident, and while its sympathies remain with the families and friends of the victims, there have been several investigations and inquiries, and it believes it is unlikely another would reach any new conclusions. The Archbishop of Wales has announced he will retire with immediate effect. In a statement, Andrew John confirmed he would also step down from his role as Bishop of Bangor on the 31st of August. He said, "I would very much like to thank the clergy and the congregations of this wonderful deceased before I retire, and I will be in touch again about the way this might happen." In May, 2 summary reports were published after concerns about Bangor Cathedral. One details report of inappropriate behaviour, lack of boundaries and excessive alcohol consumption. At the time, the Church in Wales said it takes safeguarding extremely seriously. The Archbishop said the findings offer opportunity for change. There was no suggestion that Andrew John behaved inappropriately. Andrew John became the first Bishop of Bangor in 2008. He was appointed as Archbishop in 2021, taking over John Davies. In a statement, Archbishop Andrew John said, "I am writing to you to announce my immediate retirement today as Archbishop of Wales. I also intend to retire as Bishop of Bangor on the 31st of August. It has been an enormous joy to serve in the Church of Wales for over 35 years, and I cannot thank you enough for the privilege of working at your side for the sake of our Saviour Jesus Christ." Professor Medwyn Hughes, chair of the representative body of the Church in Wales, said, "I want to place on my record my sincere gratitude for all he has achieved, together with my administration for the integrity of the ministry to the people of Wales. All members of the representative body will continue to hold the Archbishop and his family in our prayers." And finally, Marcus Monzo has been jailed for the life of the murder of 14-year-old Daniel Ajorin during an attack with a sword in Henselt, in North East London. He had gone into a cannabis-induced psychosis, where he killed the teenager with a samurai sword in April last year, the Old Bailey heard. Monzo was jailed for a minimum of 38 years for murdering a schoolboy and attacking 2 police officers and 3 more members of the public. The 37-year-old was also convicted of 3 counts of attempted murder, wounding with intent, aggravated burglary, and possessing a bladed article. He was cleared of 1 account of attempted murder in relation to the victim Henry de los Rios Polina, but found guilty of the lesser offence of wounding with intent to cause grievous bodily harm. In a televised sentencing, Mr. Justice Bentham said over 20 minutes members of the public were attacked, police officers were gravely injured, and a couple were terrified in their own home, and Cleaver, talented young boy, was killed. You, Marcus, did all of that. Daniel was a clever boy, he was gifted musically and played a variety of sports well. His loss is devastating to his parents, his brother and sister, and his grandparents. I am very conscious no sentence I can pass can even begin to temper Daniel's family's grief. On Friday, Daniel Andrin's father described how finding his son fatally wounded in the streets was his worst nightmare. Speaking at the Old Bailey, Dr. Ebenezer Arjun told the court, "We will not see him get married or have children, all the normal things parents hope for their children. All these hopes and aspirations have been cruelly snatched away from us through the wicked actions of Marcus Monzo. It has been the worst nightmare experience of our lives, to have to go through the pain of losing a child in such a cruel and savage way. No family should have to go through this." Survivors also spoke of the profound and devastating impact of the Henselt sword attack in court today. In a victim impact statement, he said, "The attack I endured has profoundly disrupted my life on every level, physically, mentally, emotionally and financially. I've had to manage physical pain, emotional trauma, anxiety, all from one violent and traumatic event. I am still in the process of healing. It has changed how I live, how I feel, and how I see the world around me." And there you go, that is it from the late news team. The national weather about that weather warning is up next. We'll be back with the lunchtime news at 1:30. But from all of us here on the late team, bye bye.